DDG episode 223. My name is Dave, and I'm joined by Michael.
Dave, I was worried we weren't going to get a Nintendo Direct. We got one. It was really good. I'm excited to talk about all the things Nintendo showed us yesterday. And it would be Nintendo that saved us from like a lackluster Summer Game Fest.
And you wanted to record on Tuesday before I would have a chance to watch it.
It was something I was thinking about, but we didn't know the Direct was going to necessarily happen. So it happened, and it was worth it.
Yeah, so definitely, I guess that kind of put a bow on not E3. So
yep. Save Summer Game Fest for Keighley.
Yeah. So, all right. So we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that posts Thursday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern time on podcast services. If you're able to leave us a review on those services, it's helpful. Not just stars; those help tremendously. Stars are ratings, but if you could actually make a comment, write a comment, that helps the algorithm crap. You can also watch us live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming, or YouTube, youtube.com/Digital Days Gaming. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel for free. You can follow the Twitch channel for free. You can subscribe on Twitch if you choose, because we are a Twitch affiliate, or you can link your Amazon account and your Twitch account and get Prime Gaming, which gives you a free subscription to a streamer of your choice. So please just make sure you're using that on somebody on Twitch. Support them in one way or another possible. Don't let it just sit there, because it's just free money that you're giving back to Amazon. And then we don't have any monetization levels on YouTube as of now, so you can just follow or subscribe through YouTube, and that is free. Downloading the show is free. Joining Discord, Facebook group, those are obviously all free, and those are all things you can do to be part of the community. I think we're slowly getting a couple of the Facebook people to kind of realize that they need to get off Facebook in terms of the groups and stuff like that, and they're kind of integrating into Discord a little bit slowly. Yeah. I think one of the news stories you're talking about might help with that a little bit more, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But other than that, everything else is linked in the show notes. So please come be a part of our community, play some games with us, have fun, and just come and just hang out and chat too. Like anytime that everybody has them on their phone now, so it's a little easier to maintain and manage with Discord. I'm not that we're completely ignoring Facebook, but the bots are thick. The bots are very, very thick.
Yeah, we had a fun week of bots on the Facebook, which just made me just realize I'm only opening this for the group or to tell a bot to please leave me alone.
Correct. Yeah. So not that you guys would have seen the bots, because the bots are just on some stuff on our end of but people trying to tell us that we have a copyright strike on something, a name that's 5 years old, is just fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting. Super weird.
Yeah, like I mentioned, everything is linked in the show notes, so please consider joining us in one way, shape, or form so you can hang out and have some fun with us. And we're going to jump into the news.
Yeah, so speaking of Discord, PS5 Discord integration is coming to the console UI over the next couple weeks.
Now I think you're just messing with Andy with letting noises go off.
No, that was actually my phone, so I'm gonna mute that. Sorry, Andy. Yeah. So Discord integration is coming to the console's UI on the PS5. This basically means players over the next few weeks will be able to just join Discord channels or groups that they're already a part of in the PS5 UI. So you're not going to have to use a phone or PC to push the voice chat to your console. Your console will be able to just join that right away. They are doing it in waves, so it's going to be, I think already it's hit Asia, next week it's Europe, week after that will be Americas. So they're definitely worried about maybe over flooding the market, because PS5 users, 40 million PS5s out there, something like that. So they're doing their best to make sure it's a smooth experience, but that's going to be huge for a lot of things, because I honestly love the Discord stuff, but it was kind of annoying having to use my phone to
see. I was kind of the opposite. I didn't really think it was that bad. I felt it was easier. A game's loading up, or there's something playing. I could just kind of pick the channel, and I could pick to join, and then I could swipe up and say join on PlayStation. For me, joining on PlayStation, Xbox, it was all right there. So there was almost little or no thought to it. Primarily, I've been playing on PC now, so I just Discord's just on one of my monitors, and I just join and leave at will. But I would be curious if they're going to. Because I think somebody was asking when I posted it. It might have been a different Discord server I was on. Was asking about are they going to be able to? I'm really curious if you're going to be able to text. Like, are you going to be able to do?
It sounds like it's just voice for right now.
So
which
that
makes
would
sense.
be the part that I think would be a little bit of a game changer for people that maybe feel like Discord might be overwhelming, even though it's not. Like in terms of like functionality, sure, like figuring out what channels you're in or server you're on can be a little clunky at first. But just in terms of like the way that you can categorize Discord out, it's very cool. But yeah, like not having to have that extra step, I think is cool. It looks like on the surface level, I don't remember. I haven't done it in Xbox in a little while, but they might be ahead of Xbox with that, and then which makes sense because PlayStation has invested directly into Discord. So
it's like 5% stake now. Of
yeah,
Discord,
something like that. But yeah, like this is just kind of one of those steps in the right direction. I would really love to see. Because PlayStation supports keyboards, like a keyboard connection to where you could, be on your system, or some people don't like to type on their phones, but just to have it there or to see activity there would be great. Just to team up with games, like you can see it a little bit in our Discord. It's not necessarily as active as other Discords I'm a part of, just community size wise, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I like the size of our community, but just when people are kind of jumping into a game or doing a game session and then removing that hurdle, this probably is the death of PS5 party chat. Pretty close to the death of it. Pretty close.
Yeah, it definitely there's a chance. Just like voice memos were a thing at one point on consoles, and then it got changed over by chat. Yeah.
So,
this is definitely the death to in-game voice chat.
Oh yeah.
Which was already on life support because of PS5 voice chat, but now it's like another layer over all that.
And just embrace it. If you're somebody that's like anti-Discord, like please consider embracing it. The cross-play functionality is so smooth with these games, like whether it's Destiny or Call of Duty or Ubisoft games or any of this stuff, being able to play with somebody that's playing on Xbox, whether it's, I don't care if it's through Game Pass or if you're playing through PS Plus or whatever you're doing, the ability to just not worry about who is on what platform anymore is so refreshing and so just nice. Of like, oh, you have Call of Duty, cool. Let's play on Thursday. Okay, here's a Discord link. Just join this and join the party. And you're there, and you just play, and you become Activision friends or whatever you want to call it now, and you just play. So I think this is really cool. I would love to. I hope when it rolls out, maybe I'll tweak with it and mess with it a little bit. But I would hope there would be some type of texting or typing available. But again, if you're on the fence and you need help with Discord or anything, please reach out, and we'll be happy to help you guys. But this is cool. Like I think this is the step in the right direction. I'd be very curious about like how as we believe it or not, as we get closer to starting to talk about next gen consoles, of like, is it even worth, with the rise of Discord use, is it even worth having your own built-in, baked-in system?
I would imagine for those companies, it's probably still worth it because you don't want to put all of your eggs in the basket of like, this company's going to last forever,
right.
Or it's going to become a joke like Skype, like that's probably like the concern, but it probably means they're not going to have to put much effort into their own service. One thing that this is going to push for those people that are like scared of Discord because they just don't want like another app on their phone. This means once you join a Discord server on your phone or on your PC, once you link it to your PS5, you could just delete that app because then your server stuff's integrated into PS5. So then you're not really having to worry about the app because you have your server connected to your PS5.
Yeah, or download it on your laptop and join the 3 servers you want to join, and then delete
and then
it off
don't
your
worry
laptop.
about it. Yeah, and then you're pretty much set. Because that would probably be the only thing that I know some people are like, I don't want another app on my phone, or I don't want another thing on my PC. It's like, no, once it's integrated, you'll only need it once for that setup, unless they do let you create a Discord account in the future on your PS5 and then join and find servers. That would be very helpful, because I don't believe there's any server search. It's just like whatever servers you're already connected to.
No, I mean, for the most part, you just join, like I said, you like currently right now, you kind of join it on your phone, and you usually leave it on.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying like if they would allow the ability to, because that just basically is like, hey,
right, for me to send you a PSN message was the Discord link, and you can click on it and it opens that up. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, if they can do some sort of integration like that, that would probably be the next hurdle that would be super helpful. Text chat, I don't know if text chat will ever come over, just because I think they would be worried about power users who are in multiple servers. Unless they give you, full control over like, let me mute all these individual servers. Because like right now I'm looking at mine, I'm in like 7 Discord servers, and 3 or 4 of them are heavily active.
Yeah.
So like I can see text chat coming eventually, but that would probably require a Discord app on the PlayStation.
Yeah, or you just say like you can highlight like 3 servers or whatever that you'd
Yeah.
like, like maybe prioritize a server channel or something. I'm not sure.
Notifications just be when people at reply you as
Right,
opposed to
yeah.
just general
Which you
things.
can do now.
You can do now, but
in
like on a
Discord,
console
yeah.
level. Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
Because that would probably be the thing they're worried about. Just like you're in a busy server that's doing like a raid party, that text chat will pop, and probably your notifications on your console will just get destroyed by like a very active raid group. But yeah, this is coming over the next couple weeks. There have been people that like when this was announced, be like, "Oh, I've been able to do this for a couple days," but I couldn't tell if like what region they were in.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully, this doesn't take too long to get to the U.S. because they did say coming weeks. But yeah, that's happening soon. In other news, we got a Skate 4 dev update. So we got that trailer that was just the Tim Robinson like comedy trailer. Didn't really say much, but then EA did put a dev update on their website that basically gave some details on what they're doing. Not necessarily why it's taking so long, but they did give some decent details. So Skate will be a free-to-play MMO-like experience coming to PC, last gen, current gen consoles, and mobile platforms, and it will feature cross-play and cross-progression, which is huge if you're going to go that route. The control scheme is still the Flick It system, but it's going to obviously have new physics because they're on a new engine. It's been quite some time. Multiplayer will feature like a quick drop ability, which allows you to customize the city by dropping like ramps and rails wherever you are, and then challenging people to, use the stuff that you just dropped into the multiplayer map, which is a cool feature that sounds like it could break some things. So I want to know how exactly they're going to do that. And then there's also like a throwdown system to where you can just make challenges up, and it'll notify everyone that's in the city at that point to come over to you and do a challenge. So a lot of cool things that they're doing. Like obviously these are features or stuff that we've seen in like other games, but seeing it applied to like a skate game is the interesting part. No release date on it, but now it kind of makes sense to me on why it's taking so long for them to do this, because it's been a couple years. They did say that there's in their dev post and some of the articles going out that apparently the studio that's making it is like a fully remote studio. So like that's also potentially like a hurdle for how long this game's taking development. But them going like an MMO route kind of explains a lot. I think you even mentioned that when we last talked about Skate, of like, are they doing like a
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're literally
live service game?
Yeah, it sounds like they're literally trying to do like, hey, bro, meet me at the skate park. Like, and I guess you know more about this than I do because you're a skate, you like skateboarding, skate fans. Whether it's Tony Hawk, whether it's Skate, whatever it is. What studio? So this is EA, correct?
It's a new studio at
Okay,
EA.
so they have not done any of the prior skates, obviously.
No. I don't remember what studio that was, or if that studio's
right.
even around anymore.
Does this studio have any? Is there any instillage of confidence in yourself that they can? I'm reading this right now and I'm like, this is overpromising and they're gonna underdeliver. Like they're gonna underdeliver.
The studio is a new studio, so there's no track record. So my confidence is probably kind of low.
Okay.
For it, what they're promising sounds great. Sounds
Right.
super cool. I have a lot of questions of like, if you're going for a live service game and it almost sounds like Burnout Paradise in terms of like, oh, there's 20 other racers in your city sort of thing. I want to know how many people are in your city at any given point. Is it your city? Are you joining just like a random server that they like push out to you? There's a lot of questions related to that. Playtesting happening this fall gives me hope that they're further along and are taking it serious, because they're not saying like pre-order now for the the playtest. They're saying playtest, which makes me feel like even if it's successful, we're still like a year out, which please give them all the time in the world. And I'm surprised EA is doing this.
Well,
they're giving
this
them
is
all
also
the time in the world.
Okay. Yeah, I was actually So like the free to play aspect of it concerns me a little bit as well, but in the EA aspect of a free to play with microtransactions, they've done they early on did a fantastic job with Apex. Fantastic. I don't really know the current state of Apex. I know that there's still a strong player base, but I don't really know the current state of like the microtransactions.
They're kind of starved for content.
Yeah.
The Apex player base.
And I guess I get concerned on the surface again with not being a skateboarding game fan of, can you do this? Like we've seen companies that be like, oh shit, games as a service is hard. Like can you keep up with the content cadence, and what type of additional content would a skate fan want? Because you could, like, so only so long you'd be like, oh, here's this city, here's this city, here's this park, here's this park.
And that's kind of what it sounds like they're doing, where they're like, we're focusing on the downtown district to start, which makes me think we'll get new districts with
but
seasons.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to demean it, but there's only so many ways you can cut a half pipe.
Yeah, and that's why like the environments are going to be important. Like the thing that like helped the Tony Hawk games is they were very level focused, and those levels were very unique based on their settings. Skate was always based on like one city,
right?
So it's a matter of like, are they just going to expand the city over time? The monetization stuff, ideally, is
the
kind
clothes,
of
the skateboard, the hat,
clothes,
the shirts, the
exactly.
you know,
they were talking about customizing down to the socks.
Yeah. So like that. So, hey man, check out my fit. Like look at my drip. Like like that. You know, when you join your buddy, like that's a lock. Like I get that brand representation.
Is there enough
desire
for people to customize their characters, spend the money, to then make more districts, because it does sound district based.
Gonna put some Nike skateboard shoes on, some Etnies, some DCs. Like I mean, like you can totally see all of it if they can get these contracts with these companies, and these companies would be foolish not to allow them to put their logos
especially
in the
the
game.
skateboard centric companies.
Absolutely.
Like they're
you might
going to be all
less
over
Nike, more likely DC or something like that. But
DC Vans will be all over this.
But then I'm just really curious, like if you could hold the attention, like we've always talked about, like hold the attention, keep the player base there, keep the microtransactions going enough, or then do you it's when you set the expectation of like, oh, like the maps are quote unquote free, but does Skate have the similar destructibility to like Tony Hawk, where you could go through like the pallets, or you could go through the windows?
There's been like little stuff you can do here and there, but it's always been the thing that separated Skate from Tony Hawk is Skate was very based on realistic
so skate simulation versus arcade skating.
Okay. Like there's still a little bit of arcadey feel, a little bit, but they definitely went for like, hey, this is the game for skateboarders,
right?
And that's kind of what a lot of the people are expecting from Skate. Even though Skate, had like once the YouTubers brought Skate back to life in like 2016, it's one of those things where they can go either direction with it. Everything we've seen seems like they are going for a more like serious approach to it, or as serious as you can with skateboarding. But that's one of the things where I see everything they're promising, and I'm just like, man, that would really work for a Tony Hawk style.
You want faster wheels? $5.
I mean, honestly, if they get if they get decent skateboarding brands to join this, there will be people that will pay premium content to have like the board they use IRL in the game.
No, for sure.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's just like, if this was Tony Hawk, I feel like because Tony Hawk is arcadey and a little out there.
Yeah.
I could see the path where you can keep people interested by putting crazy stuff in there.
I'm super worried because this is a very narrow path player base you're going after. Like shooter is a shooter is a shooter.
Break out.
I know, but all I'm saying is that a shooter is a shooter is a shooter. A hero shooter is a hero shooter. Top-down dungeon crawlers, like there's appeal to it versus like similar to like Madden goes directly after the NFL or the NFL fan, and that market we've seen is good, and the soccer fans are good. That's very niche, but it's in my perception, and this is just my area. It's like the few skaters that I have interacted with or know, it's a 50-50 chance if they even play video games, but it also, this might be something that brings them to the game, and it being free to play also, is a huge factor, but that's a very narrow road that you're on, and it could be a very fruitful road, but I do not see it getting massively wider or changing directions. Like they're going 100 miles an hour in one direction, and if it fails, it's going to fail miserably. It's going to hit a wall and explode, or it's going to be going 300 miles an hour and just pumping out money. There's no in between.
I feel like it's one of those things where it wouldn't even like be an explosion of a failure. It would just be a thing that just gradually disappears.
Right.
And because it's so online focused, it would probably just get delisted.
Yep.
And you won't be able to play any of the hard work that went into it.
Because I think EA after 6 months would be like, nope, and they would just go away.
I mean, you saw what they did with that dodgeball game.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of, but I really
Yeah.
liked it.
Yeah.
Like where that was a small indie game, and you would think like, well, keep the servers running forever. Like, what, this can't cost too much money. And EA was like, no, we're shutting that shit down after like a year. So it's
Knockout City.
Knockout City. It's one of those things where EA definitely, I don't trust them through seeing this game out. And also, Skate does have the challenge of like, yes, Skate is a big name in terms of video games, especially from that era, for the 360 era. But it's not Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk was one of those things where, Dave, you probably never picked up a skateboard in your life, but you probably put some time into Tony Hawk.
100%. But here's the deal.
Yeah.
Like, we're 14 years from the release of Skate 3. 14
Yeah, no,
years.
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's been a while. You have to hope Skate still has like the appeal
that
it
skater
did.
at 16 years old is 30 years old. Like,
Yeah.
is he still playing video games? He or she?
Yeah,
And that's a coin flip.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And will that be enough to not only get them to check it out? Free to play will probably mean that we'll check it out. It's coming to mobile as well.
Mm-hmm.
But is it going to have any stickiness to it?
It's EA. EA will pay certain content creators and streamers to play it. Like, we've seen them do it.
Mhm.
Like, there'll be a push. There'll be a marketing behind it. They'll have some bigger names on it if EA really chooses to front the wallet out like they can and have before. So I'll be very, very curious to see EA's marketing strategy behind this when it does come out. I'm with you. It's probably at minimum 15 months out. Minimum.
Yeah. Depending, and that's based on how this playtesting goes in the fall.
So I would more realistically say 24 to 30 months. So we're at 2 to 2.5 years from launch. So we're talking mid 2026, which now you're just extending that window that we just talked about from 14 years to 16 years. And again, the time frame of like how long it is doesn't matter if the game is good. Like it doesn't really matter what it's called if it's a good skateboarding game.
The only problem is because it's an EA game and it's a free-to-play game.
No,
good isn't enough.
Right? No. But I meant in terms to get the attention.
Oh,
the name is only there is some synonymous to it. I don't know what else you would call it other than Skate or Tony Hawk at this point in time. Like, because I mean we've seen the rise and fall of everything. I mean X Games in the late 2000 or late 90s, early 2000s dominated. And now it's multiple weeks now, and it's like I'm like, oh, the X Games came and went, and I didn't even know. So it's like,
remember Shaun White had skateboarding games out back in the day too, and he was a snowboarder primarily.
So
like stuff comes and goes all the time. So this is going to be the true test of like if all the attention Skate got a couple years ago, was it just because of some YouTubers, or was it because people really?
And they better go after those YouTubers
franchise
that revived it too. They better hopefully those guys and gals are still making content. So.
One of them is PewDiePie, so if they want to open their wallets, they can potentially get him, because I believe he was the main YouTuber that kind of set that game back up for itself. Like, God, that would have been like at least 10 years ago now at this point that it had that revival sort of thing. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm interested. I'm hoping I get part of that playtest just to see what it looks like. And I'm just curious because like everything they've shown, like gameplay wise, it looks very, very early in development. So I'm wondering what this playtest is going to look like, because Dave, I don't know if you know this, but video gamers are fickle.
One city, one park, no creation, no customization.
Why doesn't it look that good?
Jeans and a white T-shirt and a brown board.
like if it's one of those playtests and people see it and think it's the final release, like it gets dumb. But yeah, that's Skate. We'll move on to the Nintendo Direct recap. So yeah, this dropped. What was it? Monday. They said like, hey, we're doing a Nintendo Direct tomorrow at like 9 a.m. or 7 a.m. And it was 40 minutes worth of stuff, and it was a lot of stuff. I put the stuff again that me and Dave would be interested in, and stuff we want to highlight. So if we miss anything, it's just because I made a judgment call that me or Dave wouldn't have too much of an opinion on it. But yeah, I'm going to go through this list in order. And the first game up is Mario and Luigi Brothership, coming November 7th. This is the first entry in this franchise in over 10 years. So another Mario and Luigi game. Looks good. This makes sense for this to be the next, like Mario game, being a Mario and Luigi game, since we're towards the end of the Switch life cycle. But Dave, Mario and Luigi fan?
I don't recall playing the other one. I think I'd have to go back and look at some other stuff, but this one looks intriguing enough. Again, with Owen kind of was watching the Nintendo Direct with me when I got home, and he kind of seemed a little disinterested in it. But
RPG-ish.
yeah, but he
So.
liked Paper Mario, so
Okay.
but I'd be really like, hopefully the co-op works really well, like it shows, and then also at the same time, I hope that you can play it single player, like and can either control both or the AI is good enough, which typically Nintendo does a solid job with this. I think the animations or the whatever art style you want to look of that somewhat like 3-dimensional paper look.
Hmm.
I think looks interesting enough. It has, it definitely has my attention. I'll have to see. I do have Super Mario Brothers Wonder, which is their like, I think it was called Wonder, that came out this
Yeah.
last holiday. I don't think we've even cracked the shrink wrap on it. So the 2D Mario thing might be more marketed towards you and I, and less towards Owen's age, because he's just like, no, kind of when he saw it. But I think if him and I played it together, we'd have fun, and I think it would just be one of those things that he has to play. But early on impressions of a younger kid was like,
Yeah. Have you started Thousand Year Door?
no.
No. Okay. Yeah. I do like the cadence they have with the Mario stuff lately, of just like,
Like every 8 months, it feels like about.
yeah,
Yeah.
like sometimes twice a year, you get Mario games coming out, and then you kind of just expect the next big Mario game to start the next generation. But having these like smaller RPG games, having a Paper Mario franchise, I like that they're doing this constantly. It makes my backlog of Mario games like ridiculous
Yeah.
though, because I still Paper Mario, the first remake they did, and then there's Thousand Year Door, and
Yeah.
then there's this one. That's how far back I go. But yeah, Mario and Luigi Brothership is coming out November 7th. So
Mhm.
this is a trend you're going to see here. Nintendo has a lot of stuff dated for this year, and just I think the last direct we talked about just like what do they have left to stretch out the next year and a half, and apparently they have a lot. Next thing we saw was a turn-based RPG, Fantasian Neo Dimension, from the Final Fantasy creator Sakaguchi, coming this holiday. So this is another fantasy RPG coming to the Switch, and there was a ton of
Mhm.
fantasy RPGs coming to the Switch just from this direct alone. So if you're into RPGs, there's just a ton of content for you. Uh, to a point where I was talking to one of my friends, and we were just kind of saying that like there might be too many, because
They're definitely cannibalizing each other. Like, it's kind of crazy.
they have to be.
So
Like realistically, if RPGs are your jam, do you have the time
mhm.
to play? Because in this direct alone for stuff coming this year, there's like at least a minimum of 5, maybe close to 10 fantasy RPGs in here. Like,
This
it's
is the perfect
crazy.
advertisement for the Switch, though. Like
Mhm.
you throw it in your bag. You have a half-hour lunch. Okay. Oh, I got a 20-minute bus ride home, or a train, or Uber, whatever you're doing. Like, this is an advocate for this handheld system that runs these games, these styles of games, flawlessly. Put the
Yep.
Switch to sleep. Battery life is good. Throw it in your bag. Oh, you're waiting at the doctor's for 15 minutes. Cool. Take it out. It turns right on. It just works. I don't use it in handheld enough personally, and I've got one of those cracked cases that I need to start using more often. But just watching Owen's just ability, and I mean, I don't really, but he took it. We both went and got haircuts today. He took the Switch
Mhm.
with him. I'm getting my haircut. He's playing the Switch. I'm driving. He's playing the Switch. Oh, I got to get my haircut. Click, set it down. Go get the haircut. He's done. Pick the Switch back up. Like,
Yeah. It just takes me back to like the Game Boy days.
Yeah.
Like go on a road trip, have my Game Boy, have a pack of batteries ready just in case.
Yep.
But yeah, it is one of those things though where I love like all the RPGs that they do, because especially like the Square Enix ones, they have like a really good art style that I don't know what it is about Nintendo, especially this generation with the Switch. They figured out different art styles that feel like they're going to be timeless. You know how like you can go back to NES games and SNES games, and even though those are like pixel art, they still hold up to this day. They almost feel like at any point in the future, people will be like, that art style still holds up. We have a lot of these RPGs that are coming to the Switch that I feel like are also going to fall under that same kind of category of this kind of like timeless art style looking games, to where it's
Mhm.
like I don't think people are going to look back at it and be like, that's ugly. Like the art styles they're choosing for these RPGs are just going to be the type of game that people are just going to always like. unlike, you know, like if you go back to some PS2 era RPGs or even PS3 RPGs, you know, the art styles just don't hold up because a lot of games went for like realism
Mm-hmm.
or did try to do too much on those platforms that couldn't handle it. But because of the Switch's low power, I feel like devs have really figured out how to work within the confines of like that low powered hardware.
And the install base is so large that even if you get, I don't even know, 1.3% of the install base, it's a success. It's an astonishing success. Like,
and they must do pretty well in terms of like people buying older games because there's always a ton of sales on the Switch.
mm-hmm.
Like if you go to that sale page, it's like usually dozens of pages, or you have to scroll down dozens of times.
But I also the counterpart is I don't see like in brick and mortar stores, I don't see massive discounts on Switch games. Like
no, it doesn't seem like you have to really.
Right.
Like for
so
the physical
like
copies.
they're getting people to buy them at $60. They're buying them digitally at $60 or $70 now. To your point, if they do a sale, it's $10, $15 at the most. So you're looking at 55. 40, 50,
yeah,
$55.
sometimes there's crazy sale for the Square Enix ones.
Yeah, but that's
and
Square.
I imagine.
So,
yeah.
And you know, like, and I'm sure Nintendo's like probably reducing their cut to, you know, more people on the digital shop. Nintendo's still figuring that out. So in terms of like putting their digital stuff on sale, I'm sure Nintendo's like, oh, you want to have a whole Square Enix sale, which they do all the time. Like if it's a 70-30 split, maybe they cut that split in half. Maybe it becomes an 85-15 split based on the sale, so that it incentivizes Square to do it, which then incentivizes users to go on the Switch platform, digital platform, and see that stuff, like, which is what Nintendo needs and wants and desires. So it's super interesting, man. Like, even my wife, when she was kind of like half paying attention to the Direct, she's like, they print money. Like
No, they do. Like, and there's a reason why like Square, you know, has made a big deal. I don't even know if this one
not Square. I mean, I'm just talking about Nintendo just prints the money.
No.
Yeah.
But like, there's a reason why. Like, I don't know if Fantasia Neo Dimension is a Square game or not. But Square does have several RPGs in this. But it's one of those things where like Square Enix the last couple months have been like, you know what, we're going multi-platform on our PlayStation, our Xbox games, like because we can't afford it. But they never really talk about their Nintendo RPGs.
Never.
They're happy with those. Some of them do come to other consoles. Octopath, like 2-3 years later, came to console. You know, the PS.
Whomever
PS5.
is the go between Nintendo and Square Enix, whoever is like the person that's like, oh, I'm the director of brand marketing, and oh, what do you do? I work with Nintendo. He or she is paid very well because they do their job very well. Like they have a very good working relationship.
Whatever that relationship is, it's just like making sure the other side's happy. Because they know content's coming and money's coming.
we can't let him go. Why? He makes so much money. Yeah, but he can make
he's
Nintendo
in
say
the country
yes.
club.
He can make Nintendo say yes, and they're like, well, we can get somebody else. No, man, we tried already. Like he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, because Square seems to not be unhappy. Square's talking about how they're unhappy with everything else but these smaller RPGs that they make exclusively for the Switch or timed exclusively for the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, it's just it's one of those aspects that I'm always fascinated by when you look at the end of these and you notice like, oh, 3 of those RPGs were from Square Enix and they're all releasing within a couple months of each other. You would think Square would be worried about that, but apparently they're not because apparently the market is there for all of them. After that, we got Hello Kitty Island Adventure coming to Switch in 2025. I just put this in here just because it's just it's an Animal Crossing looking ripoff. But yeah, I believe this was a mobile game, and I think this is the Hello Kitty game that was kind of huge, so it coming over to Switch makes sense. I believe it is coming to Switch first, and then it's going to be coming to PlayStation, PC.
Yeah, I think they said this is the first time I think I heard Nintendo say console exclusive.
Yeah. This
I
is
can recall. Please don't come at me with something I missed.
Yeah, and I believe it was confirmed after it's like a timed exclusive. Yeah. So I guess, you know what, if this scratches that Animal Crossing itch. Clearly, Nintendo doesn't care about updating Animal Crossing. This might interest you, and then if you're on the other consoles, this might make you feel better about not having a Switch. After that, we got Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports coming this fall, featuring basketball, soccer, tennis, and golf. I put this in here because I feel like it's been a long time since I've seen a Looney Tunes game.
Yeah, it looked cool.
But yeah, it actually looked fun. I don't
want to buy it, but I don't know why I don't want to buy it. But it looked cool.
I feel like this is one of those games that maybe like Owen would probably see and be like, "Can we pick this up?"
He said no. When he saw it, yeah, because he's like, he doesn't know who they are.
Oh, he doesn't. Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what
They
he's
keep
just
canceling
like,
those movies.
oh, okay. I think he knows who Bugs Bunny is, and he knows
Mhm.
who Tasmanian Devil is and stuff like that. But I mean, for the most part, he was like, okay. But he's also not super into sports. Like he's like
Oh, okay, that
kind of
makes
the
sense.
opposite of me. So it's a combination of sports and Looney Tunes. But he was just like, eh.
Yeah, I was interested in this just because Looney Tunes, I think it's basketball on like the GameCube is like one of the most expensive games you can own.
Really?
It's like all those GameCube era games on are like crazy expensive.
Hmm.
So seeing like Looney Tunes kind of come back and doing like a sports game, I'm just kind of curious what this will eventually do to like some of those GameCube era games that are crazy expensive.
Hmm.
Though these are completely different from that, but it's still part of that stuff. Then we also have Donkey Kong Country. I think also might be a Disney basketball game that's super expensive as well. But we have after that Donkey Kong Country Returns HD coming January 16th, 2025. I'm kind of surprised to see a date for this game here, especially for 2025. But
Mhm.
Donkey Kong Country Returns, I believe that's the Wii game,
Yes, it
getting
was,
an
yep.
HD remake.
I'll be picking this up for sure. I love these Donkey Kong
Yeah.
side-scrolling games like this. They're just so much fun.
They're so damn good. Like
Mhm.
they're I'm not even a big Donkey Kong fan, but like the Wii games were good. Tropical Freeze for the Wii U
Or just
was
Donkey
really
Kong
good.
Country on the Super Nintendo was fantastic. Like,
Yeah. This is coming out January 2025, and this I feel like based on some of the release dates we got on stuff, I feel like this is letting us know that like holiday next year,
yeah.
there's a chance we're getting a new console because they're kind of pushing everything out within the next like 6 months to a year. After that, we got Dragon Quest 3 2D HD remake coming November 14th.
Say that one more time.
Dragon Quest 3 2D HD remake coming November 14th. Interesting enough, Dragon Quest 1 and 2 will be coming in a package together in 2025. So they're going to start with 3 and then do 1 and 2 in a bundle.
'Cause
But yeah,
that's
this
the
is.
chronological order to play.
Is it?
They said that during the direct. It's 3, 1, 2.
Okay.
Yeah. 3 is a prequel to the events of 1 and 2.
I feel like at this point, to make it less confusing, you would just rename them.
Yeah.
Or just do one package. The fact that like
or
3
just
must be a
get rid of the
game.
numbers and just say Dragon Quest. Or put it in the
Trilogy.
background. Put it in the background, like Dragon Quest 3. Like put the Roman numeral 3 behind the Dragon Quest and name it like whatever. Like give it a name. Not the two
it's
like
just
Dragon
confusing.
Quest whatever. Like I'm not gonna play this, but it looked interesting. But at the same time, this 2D HD remake or HD 2D remake is I think technically what it was called.
Yeah.
And I was just like, huh?
Yeah, but this is a thing that like Square has been doing with like the Octopath games and some
Yeah.
of the other games. Like whatever engine they used for it, it seems to do really well for them in terms of being able to pump these games out, and it's really high quality stuff that ends up out there and they sell well. But yeah, it kind of threw me off, and I was just like, okay, so I guess I'll wait for Dragon Quest 1 and 2.
Mm-mm.
But no, I guess I will have to play it this way. I am curious about the price since 1 and 2 are going to be in their own
Yeah.
package together.
So
and then
3
three's
must have
by
been the
itself.
better selling one.
And
Or their
most likely
metrics are
bigger.
telling them. Yeah.
Then after that, we have a new Denpa Men. It looks like an Animal Crossing style game coming July 27th. Darkest Dungeon 2 launches July 15th.
This game franchise fascinates me. I remember playing this years ago at E3.
Yeah.
I had fun with it. Like I was like, okay, this is cool. I never played it like at myself, but the art style is a little bit too vampire-y to me, I guess.
Mhm.
Like, and
A little
but
dark gothic.
yeah, nothing wrong with it. And then the fight style, the fighting thing was, but just I think this was a small dev team that just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, Darkest Dungeon became like
Yeah.
a pretty big thing.
Right. And this is so cool just to see them, just to see a success of, hey, we're, and I don't really know the difference between 1 and 2, but I'm sure that the gameplay mechanic got way better because the 1 did so well. Like,
Mhm.
so this is awesome. So,
Link to the Past, Metroid Zero Mission, Turok, and Perfect Dark coming to Nintendo Switch Online expansion.
So it's Link to the Past, the Four Swords adventure.
Four Swords, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So I think Link to the Past is already on there. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
This is a very fun game. You don't need 4 people to play it, but I remember I have good memories playing this game. This is very fun. And I also realized that I'm old as hell because a 17 plus game. I was like, Turok's a mature game.
It's funny when I was watching it with someone and they were just like, "Oh, is it going to be Conkers?"
Yeah.
And it's like, no, but apparently it's Turok.
Hey, but I was looking at Turok and I was watching the gameplay. I'm like, I guess when this came out, this might have been classified as mature. And then they showed Perfect Dart, and I'm like, oh, that's mature still.
Yeah.
So it's just like the difference between what was like socially acceptable in the mid '90s, like you know, like in terms of this is PG-13 and this is not. And it's like now when I look at Turok, I'm like, okay, like if Turok came out today, I think it's a gun, so it'd be a T for teen. Like,
actually, they remade Turok for the Switch not too long ago. I wonder, I have physical copies somewhere.
But you know what I'm saying? Well, but Nintendo plays by a different set of rules with what you're allowed to do. Like, they're the ones that like had like green blood, you know. So it's like, it was just super interesting to see what they classified as their, and I'm sure it had to do with their original ratings, and they're just probably not messing with the ESRB at all because I'm sure it costs money when they release some kind of digital content or even like a streaming app or however you want to call this Nintendo online service.
I wonder if they could just use like whatever rating it had back then and just be like, yeah, we don't have to re-rate it because it's the original you rated it 30 years ago.
Yeah, so it was cool. Like, and they kind of, you didn't put it in here too, but it, like lumped into this a little bit early on was that like the Nintendo World Championship thing where like a bunch of speed running stuff. That
was announced like 2 months ago, and they included it in this.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that looks really cool. Those games look really fun to play, but I don't want to speed run them. You know?
I bought it for collection purposes, like the physical copy, because I like the little package you're doing for that.
The thing they showed at the direct that I was like, that gold cartridge looks cool.
I pre-ordered that because it's like $60. It isn't even like an expensive.
I probably would do that and just put it behind me here, like just.
That's literally what's gonna happen to me. It's one of those things where I bought because I'm like, I don't have enough Nintendo stuff. I have PlayStation stuff and Xbox stuff, but not really any Nintendo collectibles. Because I have like 20 amiibos now, but after that, the thing that I was most excited for is Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection coming in 2024 to Switch, PlayStation 4, and PC. This features X-Men Children of Atom, Marvel Superheroes, Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, New Ages of Heroes, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, and then the Punisher game, which I feel like the Punisher game doesn't really fit. Everything else is fighting games, but it was already ported for Arcade 1-Up, so I'm assuming they're just like, the work's done. Let's just bring it over.
They just took the ROM and stuck it in a Switch.
They're just like, 7 games sounds better than 6. But yeah, this is huge. I feel like this broke the internet for a lot of people. Like, there was a lot of big responses. I definitely was in a thing where when I saw this announced, I didn't know how to control my emotions. I was like, I want to throw something, but I was at work, so I couldn't just throw anything. But yeah, this is huge. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, that was re-released on PS3, 360, and delisted within like a year. So these are rare games. If you want to try and pick up a PS2 copy or Dreamcast copy, you're dropping like $200 just for MVZ2. So the fact that it's coming back again is one of those things where it's just like, you might want to buy it because it probably will be delisted eventually.
Well, how much do you think the Disney influence is factoring into this being a thing?
I think Disney is really trying to like work to get stuff out. Yeah. Like in
Disney,
terms of,
it's very hard for Disney to say no to you if you come to them asking them about something Marvel and you have a real plan. If you have a real plan and a real presentation, they're like, okay, you're cool, you're fine, go ahead.
Yeah, I believe John Drake is at Disney now, and he was at PlayStation before, and he was third-party support for PlayStation, and so it seems like over at Disney.
So if he's fighting the board, he's like, why not? Like, tell me why not.
And it seems like definitely what is going on now, where like either Disney was like, hey, let's talk to Capcom, see if we can get the stuff re-released, or Capcom talked to Disney and was like, can we? And they were like, fuck it, go for it.
Right.
All I know is like if it seems like they're not doing anything to the art, like it's still going to run 4x3, which is fine.
This is getting the Konami Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collection treatment. Like it's going to have
or the Street Fighter collection.
Yeah,
that came
absolutely. And this stuff works, and we've seen that it sells. So again, like, instead of, I just hope that the whether it's Drake or whomever it is at the Disney board or is asking the board or pushing on the board versus them going why, and I hope that somebody's going why not. Like,
Yeah,
what
the work's
harm
done.
is going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to harm the brand. Either it sells or it doesn't sell, and we get our money either way. Like,
Yeah, like the work's done, and there's a chance they're like, well, Arcade 1UP already did this work, and
Yeah.
they sell it in arcade machines that
Yep.
not a lot of people can buy. Let's just put it out there, and this is great, especially in terms of like, again, I'm gonna go back to collecting.
Yep.
When it comes to like collecting this stuff, it's too expensive to track down physical copies of this,
Yep.
and there's fakes out there. So the idea to get a digital version and a physical copy, I believe, was listed somewhere.
Yeah.
This
But
is
so
this
you'll
is
do
huge.
somebody like you will do both. Like, I'm gonna have
Yeah.
it digitally, and I can play it whenever I want, and however I want, and wherever I am, and I'm gonna have the physical version sitting there just in case you do something stupid on my digital store.
Exactly. Yeah,
So-
and this is one of those things where I will probably get the PS4 version,
Yeah.
and I will get the Switch version.
And the little grumblings I heard this week, if anybody does any reading, it sounds like however this game functioned, because this is pre-Xbox era, correct?
Oh, these are arcade
Yeah,
games,
right.
OG arcade
So there
games,
is somebody was saying something because it's not coming to Xbox. At least not. Somebody is saying, and people are like, "Oh, look at the install base." No, there's something in the code for whatever reason that is not. There is. There was reports on there's something is in the game. I have to find it and send it to you, and you can tell me if I'm. But there was somebody talking about on Twitter that they're saying that the way that the game runs, because I don't think we got like the Ninja Turtle collection on Xbox either, and we didn't get the Street Fighter collection, right? That didn't come to Xbox either.
the Street Fighter might have.
But I think that they're making it seem like there's something in the way that this is being ported that it does not play well with whatever is in the Xbox. There's a small difference in terms of something that's in the Xbox.
the Street Fighter collection did come
Okay.
to Xbox One. I think the Xbox One is the thing that might be holding it up, because there's a reason why
Well,
they're
it's not coming to
PS5.
3. Or Xbox, but it's not coming to Xbox One or X. Okay.
Yeah, it's not coming to One or Series S or X, but it's only coming to PS4. It's not going to have a native PS5 version
Right.
of that game. So I wonder if it's one of those things where Capcom would only want to do an Xbox One version, and then maybe Microsoft doesn't want them to
Right,
just
which
do
is
an
where
Xbox One version.
maybe you're right, which is where I'm saying there's something in the code to where it will run on Xbox One, but whatever it is not allowing it to run on the series. And
Yeah,
that's
and-
probably why Xbox is like, no.
And it might not even be a code thing. It might just be a contract thing where Xbox is just like, no, you cannot make something just for the one. You need to make Series S or X versions as well. And Capcom might be looking at that and being like, it's not worth it for us to put the
Right.
effort into a native version. Because then if we do a native version for Series S and X, PlayStation's going to be like, why aren't you doing a native version
Yeah.
for PS5? And they're just
And
trying
that's
to
where it becomes
down.
it's not worth the squeeze. So-
Yeah, because it's like, okay, then we have to make it for
So,
three
and
additional
I don't know
consoles.
if that's Xbox's fault. Like they drew a like wherever they put a wall up with the series thing, and PlayStation put a wall up with the PS3 thing, and the wall is just at different generations.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, and
It's definitely weird that it's not coming to Xbox, but based on like how the other stuff's going, like there's no native PS5 version. It might be as simple as like, well, PlayStation doesn't care as long as you release a PS4 one because backwards compatibility, but Xbox takes their backwards compatibility very serious.
yeah.
To where if like, okay, you have it on Xbox One, but now you have to put additional work in it to make sure it works on a Series S and
Yeah.
X. So there's
Whatever
probably definitely
wrapper somebody's talking about. I've always heard a wrap, something like with a wrapper or the way it functions.
yeah.
It's
Basically just how it
not
handles
playing.
ROM.
It's not
Yeah.
playing nice with the new console.
And it probably just takes a little bit of extra work, and they're just like, they don't see the reason to do that extra work on Xbox because of the install base where
Yeah.
it's at. So yeah, it's probably a combination of technical and contractual obligations preventing them from doing that. But I'm happy to see it coming out at all. I'm literally like when I was considering like I'm quadruple dipping probably on this game. I'm also building an arcade cabinet because I acquired an arcade cabinet. That was being
You're
thrown
really
out.
bored.
If someone says, "Hey, here's an arcade cabinet," and only the monitor, which is just an LCD screen, is broken,
Uh-huh.
you're taking it. You're taking it, and I might end up sticking a PlayStation in there just so I can have both options. Because I have a
Dude,
PS4.
You better like videotape yourself working on it, or put your phone up while you're working on this.
Yeah, it's in my parents' garage. I'm just trying to get more room to work on it. I already know what's wrong with it. It's just literally just like the computer monitor in it is busted, so I just got to dump that out, and then I got to rewire some stuff. But I did find out, side tangent, how to get the arcade sticks that are built into the arcade cabinet to work with a PS4. So I'm just like going to turn PS4 into like a jukebox of just all the fighting games I can get.
Interesting.
On there.
Okay.
But yeah, that's gonna be a project I work on this summer. Cool. So I got to get all my fighting games. But yeah, I'm quadruple dipping on this. Probably digital PS4, digital Switch, and then physical copies on PS4 and Switch. After that, we got Super Mario Party Jamboree launching October 17th, featuring 5 new boards, 2 classic boards, and 20-person online. Yeah, I'm kind of upset at Mario Party because they've released like 2 within the last like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And each of those have felt kind of like content light. And it's always just like, why don't they do an expansion? And now we have a 3rd game in like 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it of like, why isn't it an expansion?
Yeah. I don't even know what this one I have is called. I think it might be called Mario Party 10. Maybe. I don't
for
like.
Wii U?
No, it's for the Switch.
Superstars.
It's for the Switch. So the main reason we got it, we have Mario Party, is because we needed a new set of Joy-Cons. And it was cheaper to get it. I was like, well, we're gonna spend this much on Joy-Cons, or we're gonna spend this much on Joy-Cons and get a free game. So we got a free game. I don't know. It's a Mario Party on the Switch. It was a digital code in the box. And that's fun. Like we've played that a handful of times. Yeah. Myself, Angela, Owen, when Jonathan and Brinkley have been here.
Super Mario Party and Super Mario Party Superstars. So it's one of those.
Yeah. And so I've had a good time with that, to where like this will probably be a pickup. Just because it's, could, even on a regular random October day, like Angela, myself, and Owen can play this and have fun.
This is what we bust out at family parties or gatherings. Like we bring a Switch and everyone plays Mario Party at Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is cool. Bigger boards, better stuff. And then the online functionality is very interesting to where I could, going back to the Discord integration that Nintendo doesn't really have, this would be something that I could totally see Owen wanting to play with, like Zoe and her boyfriend, like when they're in Kentucky, and like they could just like set up a tablet on FaceTime and just play, and Owen would love it. He gets a little emotional when he plays Mario Party. So
there are some people that get a little emotional. Mario Party is a cheap son of a bitch game. Like it's one of those games where
the modern day Uno, where it's going to start some family fights or whatever.
It's been doing that since the N64.
Yeah, so
because that game is bullshit sometimes, but it's fun.
But yeah, like the mini games are fun. The board mechanic and the classic Nintendo rubber banding aspect that's in a game is always great. So this is cool. So.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I hate Mario Party. I'm actually one of those shitty Nintendo fans that I will complain about the game, but then I'll pick it up. But I'll probably wait for this one to get that like Nintendo sale, which is just $10-$20 off.
Or the same release. Thing. Oh, one of my Joy-Cons broke. Oh, there's a bundle. Okay, I'll get it.
Man, I'm honestly looking at my Joy-Cons and I hope they survive to the Switch 2, because I don't know if we're gonna get the controller backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
After that, we got probably like one of the more interesting things, like probably one of the biggest things is The Legend of Zelda. There was a Horizon trailer.
Well, no, but I said the surprise. Like this was more of a surprising thing, like in terms of it existing and the date.
Yeah. The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. This is Zelda's first solo adventure game in the style of Link's Awakening remake. But yeah, this looked kind of great. Like this looked really good. I didn't put the release date on there, and I apologize. September 26th. Yeah, it's coming out. So this is coming out this year. But yeah, if you know how the Link's Awakening remake looks, it's like a pixel. It's like hard to explain how that art style is. But
top down. Wind Waker. 10 year later, Wind Waker look. Cell shaded animation.
Yeah. But it looks phenomenal. Like it's cool to see, like in 2024, Peach get their first game, and then you or technically Peach has had some DS games, but like Zelda finally getting a game.
People said they should have called it The Legend of Link.
That would have been funny, and maybe that would finally get people to not be confused on like who's named who.
Yeah, this looks amazing. In terms of the art style, looks so cool. I have more questions than I want to have answered currently about like combat and all that stuff. But this, I don't even know the real term from it. I don't remember the term. This duping system, mirroring system she can
Yep.
like essentially like make a digital copy of something and just pull it out on demand. It was a very unique, very much something that I could see them doing. Of like, okay, how do we make it as a Zelda game, as Zelda, but not with a sword? And probably everybody that works on Zelda is like, what?
hmm
So that, yeah, this looks very, very cool. And it's, like, the older I get, I don't care. Like, it's just, I'm gonna play Zelda games for a long time. I'm gonna play Mario games for a long time. Like, there's a lot of stuff in this Nintendo Direct that had nothing to do with me, but Mario Party, Legend of Zelda, Donkey Kong, sign me up all day long.
Yeah. And this is good because it's not just a remake. It's a new original game. I don't know how well the Princess Peach game sold, but I imagine this is going to sell really, really well for Nintendo. It being their holiday game makes perfect sense. This feels like the perfect way to like close out the Switch, to be honest, with like a big Zelda game that no one was expecting.
Also, unless you're an avid Switch collector, please don't buy this gold Switch Lite. First of all, it's a light. You can't take the Joy-Cons off of it at all.
And they've done
we're so
similar...
close. We're so close to another Switch. I'm just like,
and this
it looks so cool, but I'm like the fan of me is like, oh, I want it, but then the intelligent part of me is like,
Yeah.
Like,
and also they've released golden Zelda Switches before, so this one isn't even that.
I could just buy a skin for my Switch dock and just that'll
Honestly,
solve my problem.
You're better off.
Yeah.
There's no point in grabbing one just yet. I almost feel like that's them looking at whatever factory they have and being like, shit, we have so many left. Someone go get the gold spray.
Why do we have all these gold shells? Like,
yeah. Like they just made an order for gold shells because they're just like, shit, we need to get this warehouse cleared out. But yeah, this looks fantastic. Again, it's really cool to see Zelda get their own game. And this will probably do really well. This is the game from Nintendo this year that, you'll look at the NPD charts at the end of the year and you'll see this in the top 5.
Yeah, I think Mario and Luigi Brotherhood's going to be there too. Like, you're going to both of these games are probably going to be in the end of the year top 10 NPD. Like,
yep. And especially this year being kind of like a down year, like
I would argue top 5 for both of them.
The Mario and Luigi games being RPGs, I would put them probably the bottom half of the top 10.
Pretty good. So
it does well, but I have a feeling this will be in the top 5. There's still more direct after this that felt like it was like the end of the direct, but they still had a few more things. Lord of the Rings: Life in the Shire is a life sim game set in the Shire. This just looked weird. I
saw Lord of the Rings and I nudged my wife. She looked at it for about 10 seconds and she went back to her phone.
That art style is very off-putting. Like, I was interested of like, oh, you know what? Like a Shire life sim game sounds cool, but I'm looking at the art style and I'm like, nah, I can't do it. After that, we got Ace Attorney Investigations Collection. This is something I'm excited about because these are the Miles Edgeworth games. These are the ones that I didn't know if they were going to do remakes for. I think this closes the loop of there are no more Ace Attorney games for them to remake now. Mm-hmm. One of them from this collection of 2 games never made it out of Japan. So really happy to see this. I'll pick this up, and I hope this means we get new Ace Attorney games because there's nothing left to remake. This is when someone hits me up and is like, there's 3 more that never left Japan that need to be remade. After that, we got the 100 line Last Defense Academy from the creators of Danganronpa coming in 2025. This looked pretty cool, super weird because it's the Danganronpa devs. It was one of those things, music and art style within like 5 seconds of the trailer. It's like, oh shit, is this from the Danganronpa people? And yes, it is. After that, we got turn-based RPG Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven launching in October. And finally, we ended with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, slated for a 2025 release on the Switch. For those that don't remember, this game was announced in 2017. So 8 years later, we are finally getting Metroid Prime 4. And the trailer was pretty good. Dave, I don't know if when you were watching a trailer, the first half, like that combat half, it was one of those things where like, oh, is this next gen? Because it looks better than what the Switch can handle. And then they showed like some greenery scenes, like a post trailer, and then
Mhm.
you saw low res textures and like pixelated like blockiness, and it's like, oh no, yeah, this is a Switch game.
This is gonna be Twilight Princess. I'm gonna say it now. This is gonna be on. There's gonna be a better version of this on Switch 2. Like this game was built for Switch 2, and then it was downgraded to work on Switch because they had to get it out. And the better version of this is gonna play on Switch 2.
Will this be like those Zelda games, like Breath of the Wild, that they launch the same day the new console launches, which is why they only said 2025?
Yeah,
and didn't put,
I'm
like,
gonna venture this is a launch title, like launch day title,
Yeah,
not launch
and it'll
window,
just-
like launch day.
that's how the vibe I got. That
Yeah.
when you look back at the trailer again, the first half looked too good to be on the Switch, to me at least.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I'm not used to seeing shooters on the Switch.
Yeah, they have to.
and-
They have to release this on the Switch One. They have to. The
And
install
Nintendo's
base is
never
too
really
large.
gone back.
Like they have to. Like, but it's going to work better. I think Twilight Princess was GameCube and Wii.
Wii, and then Breath of the Wild was Wii U and
Yeah.
Switch.
Yeah.
So it's happened.
And both times, the
multiple
Wii
times.
and the Wii U, or the Wii and the Switch version, or whatever, ran significantly better, as to be expected. But there will be. I almost want to say there's going to be two different SKUs for this game. Like there's going to be,
And that's how Nintendo's always done it. Like
Yep.
they've always been
two
different
completely
SKUs.
different SKUs.
Yeah.
This
and
will,
then the old one will probably be more rare because
Yeah.
they'll put all the effort in the
yeah,
new one.
this will be a Switch 2 exclusive, and it'll be hard to find the Switch, the version. To your point, like it would be one of those things where we only like stores are getting 400 copies of the Switch 2 version and 25 copies of the Switch version. Like
Yeah.
it'll be rough.
It'll be one of those things. But yeah, it's funny though because it's Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I feel like it's multiple subtitle multiple colons for this. But yeah, no, it looked good. Like the Metroid Prime games are really good games. I like those probably more than the side scrollers. But yeah, this was a good way to end it, reintroduce it. Them just putting the 2025 date gave me the same thought that you
Yeah.
had of like this has to be on the next platform as well. So this would probably be like fall 2025
Yeah.
at this point, because based on the other stuff that they announced for 2025, those all had like January, February dates on them. So I would assume we're not getting Switch 2 until the holidays,
Yeah.
maybe late summer, because Nintendo can kind of do what they want and still have success sales wise.
Yeah. Because I mean, the Switch came out in March of 2017, so
Yeah.
I could see them trying to bring out the Switch 2 in August or September of 2020.
That's
Yeah.
my feeling too.
Yeah, 2025. Sorry. But yeah, so I'm gonna draw that line in the sand right now. Better version on Switch 2, which is not a far leap in my opinion, but yeah. So overall though, like a fantastic direct. 40 minutes, the best showing of any publisher in the month of June.
Yeah. I would say this
By
is probably
far.
like of the year at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
A little mix
And-
of something for almost everybody that plays on Nintendo.
I did see some criticism for a lot of remakes and stuff like that, but if the remakes are good, I don't care. I want to play some of these games again.
Yeah. just-
Like a lot of effort gets put into these remakes for some of them.
But what people are forgetting, like you could not take a GameCube with you. You could not take a Wii with you, like in the
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
This is they are
GameCube had a handle.
right, but you couldn't. I don't think
No.
you can plug it in your cigarette lighter.
Do you remember those little like screen attachments you can get for
They
those
still make
systems
one for
back in the day?
Xbox Series S.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Trust me,
Yeah,
I looked
there's
at
a-
them. I was like, because you can just plug it in a seat at an airplane. I was like, like
Have that
myself
fan
right.
kicking,
Talked myself
yeah.
right out of that, and so like I got a ROG.
You're like, I'm already too tall for this seat, and I'm gonna bring a whole console and just this looks so extra on my flight.
But yeah, I mean, a solid A showing top to bottom
Yeah.
from Nintendo. Like, I mean, there was nothing in there. Sure, there was a lot of remakes in there or whatever, but there was nothing in there that I was like, why?
Yeah. Even if there was some stuff that were like the Lord of the Rings thing, I was
Yeah.
questionable. It was only like a fraction
Yeah.
of like all the stuff
It's like
we've seen.
they knew what they were contractually obligated to show, and they said, all right, you get 13 seconds. Like,
Yeah, you know what's weird though? It's like I criticize like Xbox as being like trailer after trailer after trailer, but I don't have that problem with Nintendo Directs.
their
The
pacing is good
formatting,
though. The
yeah,
formatting, the pacing, the graphics, like just the way that they do things, where sometimes you wonder like, am I looking at like PlayStation? Like, are we looking at more VR2 games? Or are we back to are we in VR2? Are we out of VR2? Like Nintendo is very clear. The person, like it's like this little charm that they've cornered the market on it. Even Owen's like, why doesn't the words match his lips? And I was like, oh, he's got to translate
with
it.
the voiceover.
Yeah. I was like, it's the voiceover, and he's like, why? I'm like, because the guy lives in Japan, and he's like, oh.
Yeah.
But then they'll like, oh, here's, it's almost like as you're watching a trailer, like which is what I hate that Xbox and Sony don't do. You're watching the trailer and you're immediately thinking of questions. Like when I was watching that Zelda thing, I'm like, how's this gonna work? And then like, hey, we're gonna tell you how this is gonna work, and I'm like, cool.
Yeah, you get that. Yeah, like they know what questions you're gonna ask, so they'll either have the developer come out afterwards and give you a little 30
and
seconds.
it takes like 2 minutes, and they move on.
Yeah,
and I'm just like,
and then also just like the little like thing before the trailer where the guy in the happy voice is like, hey, coming up next is an RPG that brings you to a dark time and stuff like that. Just that little bit of info that like one voiceover guy will give on top of like the fact that it's like, here's the title of the thing you're gonna see, and now here's the thing. It just helps with the flow. And then you also have like the head of Nintendo pop in there every couple trailers to be like, hey guys, how's it going? Are you need some water?
Back in the day, back in the day when Sony did this as well, when certain people's face shows up on Nintendo, you get excited.
Yeah.
When Miyamoto would show up, you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, this is gonna be huge. And like Nintendo just has a nice flow. Like the Xbox One, I feel like they like the thing that bothered people with like the Xbox One is because it would always start with Xbox logo world premiere, and then it would end the trailer and it would be like Game Pass, and then it'll fade to black world premiere, fade to black trailer. The Nintendo one, because it's like bright and colorful and also has like the voiceover stuff that isn't the same fucking voiceover every time, just helps it flow better. And that's the thing that like PlayStation's problem is they don't have any voiceover. They don't have any like in thing between trailers to where it's just like fade to black new trailer and you're like, is this the same game? And it's like, no, it's completely different.
And Nintendo's not afraid of who they are at all, ever. Like they put that Lego Horizon game on there and they put PlayStation Publishing LLS. I'm like, what is that? And like I was like, that's what I was more fast. I was only half paying attention to the review, which looked awesome, but I was in, or the Capcom stuff. They're like, oh, like they don't even like, oh, is it coming to other platforms? Sure, go look, go find out yourself. Like we showed it, you figure it out.
Yeah,
like
that's another thing I do like too. Like for the Marvel one, is they were a little cheeky with it, where it just said Capcom. You saw a silhouette of I think Ryu, and then it just said take you for a ride, and then that 10 seconds that they were on that screen and said take you for a ride, it was just like, oh shit, they're doing it. You get excited and the trailer hits and it's like there's fulfillment there, as opposed to again how Xbox and PlayStation handle it, where it's dark, gloomy, or just straight to the point. There's no like flavor on it. And Nintendo just keeps things going. And also the fact that Nintendo can do like these 40-minute directs like 3 times a year is crazy.
And I never once felt like, oh, is this over yet? This is taking too long. Like, what's going on? Like, I never had that feeling when I was watching the replay of it. And I knew how long it was before I hit play.
Yeah, I actually had times where like I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, clearly it has to be done. There's not much more left, and I'm like halfway through, like, okay, keep going.
Yeah, so it was really good.
Yeah.
All right. So with all the E3 crap going on, or Summer Games Fest going on, and nobody's had to announce any delays officially, and then what we're planning on watching. So
I'll go real quick. I didn't play anything. I've just been watching trailers. I watched the Ubisoft thing, Devolver thing. I've been just watching video games more than playing. But Dave,
so mine has been mostly the Final Shape. I am not Destiny 2 the Final Shape. I have finished the campaign. I have gotten through 2 of 5 encounters on the raid. The team that I do the raid with is we're not going in blind, but it is it's a little I would argue it's probably one of the more challenging raids to master so far. We're getting better at the first couple encounters. It's a very mechanic heavy, but overall the main thing that if like some people have already been asking me, so they did a phenomenal job, like start to finish. Like this is probably a very linear campaign. Like you're like to the point where I left to go back to the tower, the social space, to do something, and this thing screen popped up that said, "Hey, you're not done. Like you should really play this through in a straight line, just for it to make sense." And so they really didn't want you to like, oh, play a little bit and go start messing around with some of the other stuff. They really wanted you to focus on the campaign because of how connected it is. And I would argue in the 10 years that Destiny has been making expansions, this is the most thought out, well built beginning, middle, end arc, to where like, yes, it played huge dividends to people that have been playing this game for 10 years, but I know I've said this before, but you could come in, have a basic understanding of what's going on, and feel at the end of it that you understood what happened. So it wasn't like, oh, there's like a line or a scene and somebody's like, oh, you had to play like 6 years ago to know what's going on. Those little small things were there to where it's like, oh, that's cool, but then it didn't make it feel like that was the focal point. This is the end to their Light and Darkness saga. They're starting to kick off episodes. They use the events of this to kick off these things are happening in the world, and there's tons of speculation. They did like immediately, like a week after this came out, Bungie came out and was like, okay, here is how their episodes are going to work, which are 3 episodes versus 4 seasons. And they also confirmed something, Destiny 2 Frontiers for after this year. So the speculation that Destiny 3 was coming is so far been pushed back. We don't know what Destiny 2 Frontiers is, but they have, after these next 3 episodes, there is something additional coming. It's just a teaser and a logo, which 6 days after launch of Final Shape was very interesting time for them to do that. The raid took their world first took them, I think, 21 hours to beat it, which is like the second or third longest raid, or the longest.
No one cheating or controversies around that or anything.
No, it doesn't seem like it. So other than,
I know the last one was kind of like that.
Yeah, you know what they were doing? I wasn't really paying too much attention to it, but like some of the teams that were farther along than other teams, they started the streamers started only showing their face. They weren't showing gameplay, which kind of sucked. Because they didn't want people to see strategies and catch up.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, or they were blurring the screen out from buffs, like on the left side, like on your HUD, of like what you like the little, so it was kind of like that kind of put a little bit of a damper on it. The blurring, I guess, of buffs and timers I can understand, but to the point where like I think there was one streamer that was like you could only see like his forehead, like and everything else was black. So it's kind of like, or
that's
the health bar of the boss.
Shit,
so that kind of sucked a little bit. The cool part is, I think, and I'd have to dig into a little bit more, the team that actually got Worlds first wasn't even a streamer. None of them were streaming. So that was interesting.
That's how it should be.
Yeah. The events of the defeating the raid, and they had a 12-player activity that, they did all this stuff. I mean, just not going into like super story spoilers at all, but bringing Nathan Fillion back as Cade 6 and the way that they did that, phenomenal. Just great job. Sure, they were pulling on nostalgic strings, but he was the most, you even know who Cade is.
I remember they put a memorial outside of E3 for him.
Yep. And so
fans did, not Bungie. It was like fans put out flowers for a character.
Yeah. So, I mean, and they got the original voice actor back, and the reason why he left before was because of like contractual things or time commitments. And I'm like, okay, like, so what is he all like? He does massive television shows. I'm like, how does this guy have time? And they did it right. Like what they did.
Well, I feel like his last show was bigger than his current one, so he might have a little bit more time.
But they did it well. It went well. Just narratively, cutscenes, just phenomenal. Like, so just, you don't have to play it on Legend or anything like that, and you can still have a great time with the story arc, and it's really good. If you were at all thinking about it, even just don't buy the season stuff if you don't want to. I think it's like $40 or $50 just for Final Shape, and I think it was great. It was really, really good. I do want to start streaming it a little bit more, just as I'm messing with some stuff, and you guys can see me doing some things. I do want to stream some Switch games a little bit more. I'm trying to figure out some kind of routine, but I got a lot of stuff going on. I got a baby shower this weekend for my oldest. I'm playing way too much softball this year. I've hurt myself like 3 or 4 times this year. Not to the point of anything crazy, but just enough that it's like I'm getting old, and I need to realize that I maybe pump the brakes and loosen up some stuff, then sit in this chair a little bit more and play some games more often. But I also don't want to like start to like decay. So watch the terrible NBA finals. Terrible.
So disappointed. I was looking forward to it. It would have been a good finals, and I'm happy for some of the people in Boston for winning the title finally, but overall, I was just not happy with how that finals turned out.
We're kind of I love baseball, but we're kind of entering this June, like this Father's Day to Labor Day window of like no football, no basketball. Like I know you're not the biggest football fan, but it's just in terms of like the keeping the sports world going when people are starting to talk about football or you know, because like baseball cannot
when the
hold
finals
it. So,
when finals doesn't go to 7 games and baseball in I want to say a good chunk of the major cities is not good baseball.
Yeah,
like,
hockey's still lingering a little bit. Both finals look really bad at first.
WNBA is honestly the most interesting sport right now.
Correct.
Going on.
Yeah. So, yeah. Other than that, I've been doing a lot of just adulting, like probably like too much adulting, working on the house and having to do some stuff and trying to figure out the backyard and the front. You know, just there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of work that so just trying to balance it all out. It seems like no matter whatever energy was sucked up by my previous job, and I'm like, oh, I have all that energy back, and I'm like, and now it's just all going into the house. So it's like versus, it was maybe 80% into work and 20% into the house. Now it's 50% into work and 60% into the house, and I'm tired. So, but yeah, other than that, things are, overall things are good. I felt like this was one of the more tame E3s, summer game fest stuff. We really, in years past, we've recorded multiple times, and there just wasn't a reason for that. And I think that we're kind of we're at that pendulum swinging because we're really seeing the effects of the pandemic right now. Like we're really seeing it, whether they got their game out or they couldn't get their game out and it's not ready. And we're in this low
and the financial
valley.
issues that came out from all that stuff with a lot of the companies being greedy and all sorts of things there. Yeah. This is the most like dog days of summer for video games that I think we're gonna see in a long time. Like this is gonna be kind of rough for video game releases and potentially video game news because if Summer Game Fest was any indication of that was the best they could get for Summer Game Fest, it means there's probably nothing surprising happening.
Yeah, and it means nothing's like the guy that was cutting my hair, Aji. He's in our chat sometimes. He's like, "There's got to be a game you're excited for in the next couple months." I'm like, I can't think of anything. Like Concord looks kind of cool. Like, but I'm like, I'll mess with the beta or whatever.
Games, but nothing major.
I was like, oh, what do you think about Call of Duty? I'm like, I'm going to play it because it's on Game Pass. I'm more interested in how far they're going to push this political envelope than I am in the multiplayer.
Yeah.
Like that's more of what I'm interested in. But I'd really have to, like, maybe we can put this together in the next week or two, Michael. You're way better at it than I am. But, like, maybe we need to put, what's coming out August to Thanksgiving.
It might be our Patreon episode.
Yeah, and kind of, kind of talk through that and see because, like, right now I can't. If you had to press me right now, like, what's the most excited thing you're for in the next 90 days? It's going to be this Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom game.
Yeah, and I honestly don't really have an answer. Right. Because, like, the stuff I have has just a generic 2024 date.
Yeah. I mean, you're getting Dragon Age next year, right?
Oh, no, it's this year, but no release date.
Right.
So it's like
I'm saying, like, my 90-day rule. So we got we're on June 19th. So July, August, September 19th.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't even Echoes doesn't even fall into that. Legend of Zelda Echoes.
No, there's not a ton of stuff already announced. I'm literally like when Sarah's gonna do the Final Fantasy expansion Dawn Trail stuff. I'm kind of lining up my video games for time.
What's that Switch game that's coming out on June 27th though? I was surprised at that one.
There's a July 27th game, the Denpa Man.
No, I thought.
But yeah, literally, I'm just looking at like old games again of just like, oh, what games are in my backlog because I feel like this is going to be a heavy backlog day or year.
Yeah.
Dave's doing research right now. Let me just, what do you say, June 27th? I
swear there was something that was like, unless it's like
Luigi's Mansion 2.
That, okay. I was like,
yeah, I didn't put that in there because
it's fine.
It's
a remake.
Trailer for something.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, oh, that's sooner than I thought. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, like that's kind of like just kind of where we're at right now, and it's just this weird time where these companies are very quiet because they have nothing to say. And it's like, so Ozzy, my barber, asked me, he's like, oh, do you think it's a mistake that they're putting on Game Pass? I'm like, no, they got to pay for their investment. Like, they got to pay back their investment. So.
And they would probably lose a good chunk of their Game Pass
Uh-oh. Did I lose you? All right. Well, I'm probably going to end the show. So, I hope everyone has a great week. I hope if you're in the Midwest where it's hot as hell, be careful. Drink lots of water. Be a good person. And stay hydrated. Be healthy. And I hope everyone has a great week and keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya. Discord completely does.
I know. I think I saved it though enough like where I was like, able
Came
to
just in time to say don't be a dick.
I think I played that off pretty smooth. We'll see how well she can edit that. So.
Luckily, it was only 2 seconds. It was like
I was like, all right, we're
video
done.
crashed on my end, and I was like, okay. Immediately was like, is my internet down? Nope, I'm still connected.
I thought for a second there it did that thing where I'm like, am I about to lose power? Like.
Yeah, no, I was just like, wait, is my internet about to die? This was 224, wasn't it?
Was it? You said 223. I put 223 on everything else.
I'll fix that. Yeah, it was 224.
Okay. I just named it 223. Angela figured it out. So. All right. You good?
Yeah, I'm all good.
Cool. Those of you on the stream, thank you for hanging out. A bunch of you guys watching, commenting. A couple first-time people that didn't really comment back to me, so I don't know what's going on with that, but you're cool. So we'll talk to y'all later.